Today's objective is angle relationships. Here are two lines, line 1 and 2. They are parallel lines. They will never cross. And you can tell if they are parallel because you can see this. This is an L in cursive, so you don't think it's another 1. This says line 1 is parallel. Remember, that's the symbol for parallel, like the two L's in the word. Line 1 is parallel to line 2. Here are two lines, line 1 and 2, and there's a little indicator showing that they're perpendicular. Perpendicular lines cross at a 90-degree angle, always. And those are the ones that you need to use when you're finding the area. So this tells you line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. Remember, that's the symbol for perpendicular. It's an upside down capital T. Here's line 1, 2, and 3. Line 1 and 2 are perpendicular to each other. Line 3 is a transversal line, and a transversal is a line that crosses two or more lines that are on the same plane. That means we're just talking about everything like on one piece of paper. We don't have multiple papers in space today. When a transversal line crosses two parallel lines, like these two, the diagonal angles are congruent. I'm going to talk about all this, then we'll do some problems with it. So by diagonal, I mean like this angle and this angle across from it. Diagonal, this angle and this angle across from it. Also, the angles in the same relative position where the transversal crosses the second parallel line compared to the first parallel line are congruent. So for example, this angle up here and this angle here. Because where the transversal crosses, this one would be in the upper right, and this one would be in the upper right. Or, for example, this angle here and this angle here. Because if you look where the transversal crosses this parallel line, this is in the lower left-hand side of the line, and this is in the lower left-hand side of the line. And those are congruent also. Two angles that make a straight line, they equal 180 degrees because it's a straight line, because up here the straight line is 180 degrees. So two angles that make a straight line equal 180 degrees when they're added together. So if you know, like for example, this angle is 130, well the other, if you have this angle over here together, this makes a straight line. So 180 minus 130, this angle would have to be 50 degrees. Okay, so if they make a straight line, they have to equal 180. Two angles that make a right angle equal 90 degrees when added together. So if there was a line cutting the middle of this angle or cutting the middle of any of these angles, and you knew what one side was, you can just subtract that from 90 to get the other side. Okay, here I'm telling you angle A is parallel to, line A is parallel to line B, and line C is a transversal. Well, all of these angles that I've just been talking about have specific names, and so now we're going to name them. So here I have just two angles, two lines just crossing an X. Angles across from each other in a V, so for example, the top and the bottom, a V and a lower upside down V, or left and right, a side V and an other side V, are called vertical angles because they make a V. You can remember that. And they are congruent. So if you have something like this, or if you look, if we just have something like the top line, okay, the ones that make a V that are across from each other, those are congruent. Angles that add up to 180 degrees, like we talked about up here, they are supplementary angles. So the 60 and 120, those two angles would be supplementary. This 60 and this 120, those two angles would be supplementary. The 60 and the 120 would be supplementary, and so would those two. Okay, so these, what we just talked about, those are supplementary angles. They are not congruent angles. Congruent means the same. They're supplementary angles that add up to 180. Okay, so here I drew a figure, two parallel lines. I'm telling you they're parallel, okay, with a transversal. I've told you that the upper left angle is 130 degrees, and then I've just named the others A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, this is red angle A. This is like, it's not a less than symbol. This part of the line on the bottom is, it's just straight on the bottom, okay? So angle A, is read angle A. Angle A and angle E are both in the upper right side of their four angles. So if you look at these four angles, if you just look at the top parallel line, angle A is up in the upper right. If you look at just those four angles, angle E is in the upper right. They are in the same relative position. Okay? They're both of these four upper right, of these four upper right. When you look, they're in the same relative position when you look at the two parallel lines in the transversal. They are called corresponding angles. So are angles B and F, hopefully you said. Angle C and G, because B is in the lower of the left side, F is in the lower of the left side, C is in the lower of the right side. Like if you have this line cutting in half, these are the right-hand side, those are the left-hand side. G is in the lower right side. And angle, oh, I already said F. What am I missing? A and E, C and G, B and F. Oh, let's do angle D and the 130 degrees. We don't write it that way, but we know what I'm talking about. All right, let's talk about this. Angles that are next to each other, they share a side, they are called adjacent. Okay, so angle A and C are adjacent, and angle A is also adjacent to the 130 degree angle. Angle F is adjacent to angle G, and F is adjacent to angle D. They just share a side. All right, next thing. Notice how angles B, C, D, and E, so B, C, D, and E, are on the inside of the parallel lines. They are all in the interior. Angle A, F, G, and the 130 degree angle, A, F, G, and the 130 degree angle, are outside of the parallel lines. If here's your parallel lines, they're on the top and bottom. So they are called exterior angles. So angle B and E are called alternate interior angles. Angle B and angle E, because they are inside the parallel lines and they are on opposite or alternate sides of the transversal. And they are congruent. Okay? B and E, those are alternate interior angles. What would be the alternate interior angle with angle C? Go to the other side of the line, boop, and stay inside the parallel line, so it has to be angle D. Angle C and angle D are also alternate interior angles, and they are congruent. I think I wrote that down here. I did. Okay. What do you think angle A and angle F are called? A and F. Well, you know that they are exterior angles, and they are on alternate sides of the transversal, so they are called alternate exterior angles. So are angle G and this 130 degree angle. Those are alternate exterior angles. So we have alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles if they're on opposite sides of the line, the transversal. And then we have corresponding angles if they're in the same relative position, so they would be on the same side of the transversal. All alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, if it's an alternate interior angle, if you say angle C, you know that's congruent to angle D. Angle B is congruent to angle E. I'm not saying B, C, D, and E are all the same. I'm just, because they're not all, well, they're all interior angles, but they're not all interior alternate angles. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but it's not. All alternate exterior angles are also congruent, so once you find them, they're the same measure. But they're not all congruent to each other. That's what I was just talking about. All right. Two angles that make a right angle 90 degrees are called complementary angles. And we already talked about two angles that make 180 degrees are called supplementary angles. And how I remember the two names, I think about numbers 90 comes before 180, and I think about letters. C for complementary comes before S for supplementary in the alphabet. So the two ones that come first, the 90 degrees and the C, those two go together, so 90 is complementary. And the two that come later, the 180 and S supplementary, those two go together. Hope that helps. All right, last thing. Here's our drawing. These two lines are parallel, I'm telling you. And here's our transversal. We have angles A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Let's list the corresponding angles. Corresponding means same relative position. So angle A is in the upper left. What's in the upper left here? Hopefully you said E. Angle B is in the upper right. What's in the upper right here of those four? Hopefully you said F. And angle C is in the lower left, so it matches up with angle G. Oh, I should have done this for the other, sorry. And then angle D is in the lower right, so it matches up with angle H. Let's now list the alternate interior angles. If I say angle C, you would tell me angle F. Because they're on opposite sides of the line, the transversal, and they're inside of the two parallel lines. And if I say angle D, you would tell me angle E. List the alternate exterior angles. Angle A and angle, oh, that was like angle 9. Angle A, now go the other side of the line and go all the way down. Angle H. And angle B with, go the other side of the line, go all the way down. Angle G. This is a lot of information, okay? So I don't want you to get frustrated. I want you to stop this and go back and think, and then if you have questions, ask me. But you can do this, okay? It's kind of fun, actually. All right, let's list the supplementary angles. Those are the ones that add up to 180. I'm not going to list all of them, but I want to list supplementary. If I say angle A, what would add up to 180? Well, I could make a straight line here, or I could make a straight line here. So I could say angle A and angle B, or I could say angle A and angle C. And we could do that all the way around. We could say D is with C and B, because that makes straight lines going that way. We could say G is with E and H, because this is a straight line going this way and a straight line going that way. We could do two, for every letter, every angle I tell you, you could tell me two angles you could add with it to get 180 degrees. Let's list two angles adjacent to angle F. Adjacent means they share a same line. So angle F, this bottom line, shares with angle H. Whoopsie. And angle F shares this side line here with angle E. Maybe I can write a little more neatly. There we go. It's bad. All right. We don't want to forget about our vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles make a V. So let's list the vertical angles. Angle A, what does it make a V with? Angle D. Angle B is vertical to angle C. Angle E, what is it vertical with? Makes the V. Angle H. And angle F is vertical with angle G. Okay, so vertical ones are right across from each other like this. Or like this. G and F. Okay, last but not least, this M angle B is read the measure of angle B. The measure of angle B is 55 degrees. So that means this is 55 degrees. Find all the other angles. Okay. I always find the angles that are the same as that angle first because it's the easiest thing to do. So I know if B is 55 that C will be 55 because they're vertical. And I know that angle B will be 55 because B and F are corresponding. And I know G will be 55 because you could either say B and G are alternate exterior angles, or you could say F and G are vertical angles. Or you could say C and G are corresponding angles, right? Okay, so that's 55, this is 55, this is 55, this is 55. Now if I want to find angle A, I know that those two make a straight line. So I need to say 180 minus 55. 180 minus 55. Started going too fast, huh? Okay, well 55 plus 5 is 60, and 60 to 80 is 20, so that would be 25 with my 125 degrees. So that means angle A is 125, D is 125, H is 125, and E is 125, because angle A and angle D are vertical, angle A and angle E are corresponding, angle A and angle H are alternate exterior angles, angle E and angle H are vertical angles, and angle D and angle H are corresponding angles. That's it.